Alrighty guys, here we are. We are doing October's mid-month wrap-up. For some odd reason, my brain is still stuck in September. It is October, and here are all of the books that I've read so far. I like to do these mid-month because by the end of the month sometimes I'm like trying to scramble for my thoughts and feelings once I finish a book. What I should do is after I finish a book, I should record my thoughts and feelings right away and then kind of compile them. Maybe that's something I will do in the future. But as I was holding them off till the end of the month, I was kind of forgetting bits and pieces of my thoughts and feelings. So this just works out better for me. So let's dive on in. We have a Christian romance, we have nonfiction, 2 graphic novels, and then we also have a cozy mystery. So let's get started. Welcome back for those that are coming back, and for those that are new here, my name is Laura. It feels like forever since I've talked to you guys, and I am so excited to be sitting down and sharing these books with you guys and just be back here in general. We've been kind of slowing down a bit. Life seems to get crazy and kind of hectic. Why? I'm not sure. My kids are not school-aged yet, but it's just the way life goes. So here we are, finally sitting down to do this and finally sitting down and talk to you guys again. So let's jump into the books that I read. We're going to go in order that I read them. So the first one I actually picked up this month. I was so excited to jump into this book. I've heard this author's books are very deep and emotional, and you guys know I love my romance to be deep, emotional, and just to be, I don't know, I need more layering to it. So I picked this one up. I was a little nervous because it is a little bit on the chunkier side. Let me see. I'll tell you how many pages it is. Over 400 pages. It's 427 pages. But as you can tell by the tabbing, I had a really great time with this one, and this one is Redemption by T. Bell. It is the Rising from the Ashes. This is book 1. Book 2, it says it's coming out in, I believe, April of 2025. If I am wrong about that, I will put the date on the screen below. But this did hit on the deep and emotional level. There are so many layers to this story, and I really loved it from literally the first chapter. So in this book we have MJ and we have Hayes, and this is their story, their romance. And actually MJ is a woman who had a very rough upbringing. She was always kind of like the black sheep in her family and was kind of always told that by her parents, and it is heart-wrenching to see. It is something that really irritated me when I was seeing what was going on there. She also did have an older brother, and he also had very high expectations put on him by their parents, and he was kind of always the one that followed the rules. He was the rule follower, where MJ was the one who pushed boundaries, and she was known for pushing boundaries. So she was kind of living in her brother's shadow. All in all, something ended up happening where MJ could no longer take staying in this small town, and she ended up leaving. But before she ended up leaving, and before this event happened that changed her life, she was in a relationship with Hayes, and Hayes is MJ's brother's best friend. So we have brother's best friend in here as well, and that is one of my favorite tropes in romance stories. This is also second chance, which is my favorite trope in romance stories. So we have those two in here, which made for the perfect combination for me. And I also loved that we had dual point of view, so you get both MJ and Hayes' points of view. You get dual timelines, so we're seeing them now, today, in the present, and then also in the past, and I feel like that also made the story what it was. So, like I said, there was an event that made MJ leave her hometown. She never wanted to come back. She never planned on coming back. And Hayes also kind of had something to do with this. I don't want to say the event that took place, but he was also affected by what happened. And then that kind of made things spiral for MJ as well, and had a part in why she left the town. I don't want to give too much away, and I don't want to read the synopsis. You guys know I don't read synopsis going into stories because I want to be surprised, and I want to go through each and every aspect of the story as it unfolds. So I don't want to say too much, but I loved, like I said, that dual timeline. I think that was necessary for this book, and I know some people are iffy about dual timeline, but it really, really works in this one. I also want to say that there are very deep, heavy emotional topics with loss of a family member being one of them. And again, don't want to go too much into detail. If you are someone who likes to look up trigger warnings, please do so before going into this book. I also want to say that there is a lot happening in this book. We also get that traumatic mental upbringing of MJ. Now, I will say there is a lot of redemption in this book. There's a lot that goes on there. There's a lot of forgiveness, but there's also that guilt and grief that's happening here. There are just so many emotions packed into this book. I also have to say I absolutely adored the side characters in here. If you've read this book, Bella is by far one of my favorite characters. I don't want to say my favorite, obviously, because there's a lot that goes on in here, but Bella is a girl in high school in this book, and let me tell you, I fell in love with her. She's absolutely amazing. I adored her pieces in here. It's just so heartwarming. Her pieces were very heartwarming and I loved it. I did also want to mention with this book that when I started reading this was a 6-star read for me until about 60% of the way through. And then I felt like the dialogue between our main characters kind of changed a bit, and there were parts that were just a little bit cringy for me. So not only did the dialogue change, but I felt like there was just too much going on in the story around that mark, because we were getting into more things and like it wasn't even necessarily heavier topics, but we were getting into so many different topics, and I get that's kind of like the point. There's so much going on in here, and there is so much to somebody's story and so much to everyday life that it's hard to get everything in a book, but I felt like this was almost trying to do too much towards the end. So that did drop my star rating just a little bit, but I do have to say I loved also the faith aspects in this book. I thought that was done well, and with the faith aspects as well, I do think they were done better in the first portion of the book, and then kind of, I don't know, it felt like it kind of faded as it went a little bit, so there is that. Anyway, I did really enjoy this book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars in the end. I will continue on with book 2 when it comes out. It is going to be called Penance, and I will be picking up more of T. Bell's work because I do love a good, deep, emotional read, and that is exactly what this is. Again, if you are going to pick up this book, please look up those trigger warnings. So after I read Redemption, I picked up a graphic novel. For me, for some odd reason, fall and winter are like my graphic novel seasons. So I picked up Crumbs by Danie Stirling. We have our 2 main characters on the cover here. We have Ray and we have Laurie. And then on the back here, we have little text messages from them. This book is just absolutely stunning. The illustrations are amazing. I'm going to show you the naked hardcover too, because that is also absolutely stunning. There is that with Ray and Laurie again, and then Falling in Love Just Got Sweeter. So in this one, we have obviously Ray and Laurie. Like I said, I'm putting the cover back on so I can talk to you guys real quick, because I also want to show you some of the illustrations. So we have Ray, and she is wanting to get into this council and become a counselor. And there are hurdles that go along with that. And then we have Laurie, and he wants to become a musician, but right now he's working at his aunt's bake shop. And that is where Ray and Laurie meet. What I love about this bake shop is the baked goods are all to give you a certain thing. So when I say that, I mean, I'm going to show you some illustrations real quick. Ray always goes in and orders romance, but there are certain baked goods for certain things. Like this one here is confidence. And then we have up here melancholy and anticipation. But like I said, Ray goes in and every single time orders her tea with romance. And obviously the romance sparks between Laurie, and I loved the deeper aspects of this graphic novel. There's just, obviously we get the romance, but there's so much more to a romance. There's so much more to everyday lives and goals and feelings and all of that good stuff. And I loved how it was portrayed in this book. I think it did such a great job. And there's so much to unpack, and there's so much about, you know, people's past and the future and how that affects a relationship. And like I said, there were just deeper aspects to this graphic novel that I really, really enjoyed. Another thing that I absolutely loved is that oftentimes there's this push to constantly look for joy in life. And you know, joy is essentially the ultimate feeling in life. It's what you want to feel all the time. And I loved this one little panel. I didn't love just this one panel. Obviously, I really, really loved this book in general. But this one panel was just absolutely amazing, and it really hit for me. I'm going to see if I can find it. If not, I will put it on. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'm going to put the panel that I loved up on the screen. And it talked about how the ant was trying to make joy, but it kept coming out contentment. And to me, this spoke to me on another level, and this was my favorite panel in this entire graphic novel. And like I said, it hit on another level. There were certain aspects of this that I just absolutely loved. But I also felt like it is a longer graphic novel, and I get that there was so much included in here. But I also felt like there were parts that weren't totally necessary, and I felt like I was trying to get through them to get to more of Laurie and Ray's story and how it unfolds and all of that good stuff. But anyway, as you can tell, I really, really loved this graphic novel. If it is something that sounds interesting to you, please pick it up. I absolutely adored it. I will say there is LGBTQIA plus representation in here, and it is with Laurie's aunt, and you do see that in here. And then I believe there was almost a relationship between one of Laurie's best friends and another guy worker. It looked like there was going to be a relationship there, but it never ended up like coming full circle. So I did want to let you know that as well. So I really, really enjoyed this one. It dove deeper than I feel like most graphic novels do into relationships and just the ins and outs and how just so much is connected, and it's not just necessarily about the romance here, now, today. And there's the future to look at, and also the past and how that affects it. And, you know, there was just so much explored in this, and I really, really loved it. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. And after that, I ended up picking up a nonfiction book, which was Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling by John Taylor Gatto. I actually picked up the audiobook version of this, and I absolutely loved it. John Taylor Gatto is actually an award-winning teacher, and he taught in New York City. Now, this is his thoughts, feelings, and just some information on schooling and the school system, and I absolutely adored it, and that is why I have a physical copy. This will sit on my shelves, and I will go back and I will go through and annotate this, and I am so excited about it. Dave actually ended up listening to the audiobook version as well, because that is how much I raved about it. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars. If you are thinking about potentially homeschooling your children or just want to learn more about the school system and his thoughts and feelings of being in it for so long and, you know, being an award-winning teacher and things like that, give it a go. I loved it. Like I said, 5 stars, and obviously had to pick up the physical, and we'll go back and read it again. So after that, I ended up picking up another graphic novel, which was Katie the Catsitter. I actually got this for Grace when she gets a little older and is able to read this and enjoy it. She is a huge cat lover. I saw other people reading this though and really liking it, so I ended up picking it up. I also like reading books before Grace goes into them as well. Anyway, let's do a quick little flip through. The illustrations are really cute. I really enjoyed them. But this book starts off with Katie at the end of the school year, and her friends are going off to a summer camp. Katie is not going, and you get a little background there where you see her mom working very hard and coming home and falling asleep on the couch and, you know, just working really hard for the money that she has. So Katie decides that she's going to pick up odds and ends and like different jobs for different people, and they just don't end up going very well. One day, a woman comes and offers Katie a cat sitting job, and Katie's like, you know, of course, like, this sounds perfect, and she was offering Katie a good deal of money per hour doing this job. So Katie goes in, and she is not expecting the job she's getting handed. She gets handed a cat sitting job, but for 217 cats. And I'm going to show you a little graphic in here, and it was just, it's so cute. I really enjoyed this story so much. And what was funny about this is obviously there are a ton of cats, But when the owner would leave the apartment, the cats would go absolutely crazy and just do the silliest stuff. And I enjoyed seeing every bit of it. It was so much fun here. Let's see. I'm trying to get a picture of the cats going crazy here. Here are the cats going crazy. And I also loved that as we got further into the story, you get to see that there's also like a superhero villain type of story going on here. And you also get to see that each of these cats, as they're going crazy, they do different things and have like different specialties. And in the back here, you kind of get a like profile of the cats and what they do. So this one is a geography expert, there's cellular technology, there's cognitive science, there's lead vocals. So you can see that there. It's really cool. I had a blast with it. And again, I can't wait till Grace gets a bit older and can read this. I think she's going to have a really good time with it. It is definitely a middle grade book and it is just perfect for the age range. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, obviously really enjoying it, and I'm holding on to this and can't wait for Grace to be able to read it. And then last but not least, the book I ended up just finishing up. This is the 3rd book in the Ice Cream Shop Cozy Mystery series. This is Fatal Fudge Swirl by Meri Allen. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I have also talked about the other 2 books in wrap-up videos, which I will link down below. But I have my reviews of these on Instagram as well. I don't have this one up just yet, but I will probably before this goes up. You will see, okay, so I gave the first 2 books 4 stars, and we will talk about the star rating for this one as well. I did find it weird though that as I went through the series, like I said, this is book 3. I liked book 1 the best, book 2 second best, and then book 3. We'll get into this one. What I loved about this one is we had a fall theme going on here, as you can see. We also had a Halloween themed wedding, and you know, you got to see Halloween costumes and Halloween in general in this one. Halloween does take place because the Halloween wedding was for Halloween. There's just a lot of fall and Halloween going on here in case you couldn't tell. We still get those decadent fall treats and the ice cream and get to see the flavors and, you know, new flavors coming up, and there's just a lot of fall going on in here. I actually tabbed some fall scenes, tabbed this one up as well. This one, we still obviously have our amateur sleuth Riley Rhodes, and there is a Halloween theme wedding, like I said, happening at the town's inn. So she is responsible for making the cake, but somehow during all of this, she ends up taking up like jobs as well and being at the inn more than usual. And I don't like telling you guys who gets murdered. I know it is on the back of the book. I know it is in the synopsis, but I don't like telling you because I don't read the synopsis before going into Cozy Mysteries because I want the murder to unfold and I want to be in it with the amateur sleuth and the other characters. And with this one, I just felt like we didn't get as close to the characters as we normally do. In this one, we also have like a movie production going on in the background here with some of the side characters in this one. And I don't know. I don't know if there was too much going on or that we didn't just dive more in with the characters. Something felt a little off to me about this one compared to the first 2, and not off in a bad way. I still enjoyed this book. I just felt like in books 1 and 2, we got to know the characters so well. And even if they were side characters, like in book 2, there were characters that were just in book 2. We weren't introduced in book 1, and we don't really see them again in book 3. So it was just side characters, and I felt like I knew them better than I did know the side characters in this one. I don't know. There's just something that didn't hit for me in this one as much as the other books. I also feel like, as you guys know, I talk about this often, Meri Allen not only has the murder mysteries in these books, there's other mysteries going on in the background, and I was intrigued in them in books 1 and 2. Whereas with this one, I felt like there was a missing person in here, but it got solved so fast. And also there was another mystery in here, but it was kind of like, it was just told to you. You didn't really have to figure anything out. So that's why I kind of feel like book 3 was my least favorite so far. And I'm saying that, and I still really did enjoy this book. I think if you're looking for a fall and Halloween themed cozy, this is a great one. It's just, I don't know, it didn't live up to my expectations from reading books 1 and 2. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars, and that ends up wrapping up what I read in October so far. So let me know if you've read any of these. I want to know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Leave them in the comments down below. I also want to know what you guys have picked up in this month so far. Did you like your books? Did you not like your books? Leave that all in the comments below as well. But if you like this video, make sure to give it that thumbs up. And if you want to stick around for more bookish related videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you. It would mean the world to me. Again, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you guys soon.